Make the ground shake.
Hello everyone and welcome to another tank review. This time we are going to look at the st.emil, the tier 7 uh, German tank destroyer, or as I like to call it, the st.emil. Now this tank is pretty much a big ass cannon on tracks, but let's look into some more details. As always, we will begin with the armor, and it's all red, but at the most it's 50mm thick, which means this tank is pretty much raped by anything it will meet. Light tanks, mediums don't have hard time outplaying you. Artillery, if it lands 5 meters from you, it will take out your half of your HP, not alone hitting you. It's an open top vehicle. If it hits even a tier, I don't know, 6 artillery, 5 artillery, it will do full damage quite easily, especially if it hits from the top. And that means you always have to be second line or maybe even third line when your enemy is attacking. You always have to be the support. You almost never spot for yourself in this tank. Always be wary of that, because you do not have a lot of armor. But there is one redeeming feature of this thing, and that is the gun. It is basically a slightly nerf E75 gun, or you might say the mouse gun, which is at tier 10, but this is only tier 7. If you look into the stats, 231 penetration for 90 alpha damage. The penetration is okay. I mean, I haven't struggled with at all. Even tier 9s aren't a problem with this tank, and 490 alpha damage for a tier 7 tank is pretty much unheard of, which means you pretty much 2-shot anything at tier 7 and 3-shot anything at tier 8 even. The DPM, I am comparing it to the Yak Panther. Even though this thing has 170 alpha damage more than the Yak Panther, so to say, the DPM isn't that horrible. I mean, it 4.5 rounds a minute for 490 alpha damage. That is better than the E75 even, and it's around the reload for the mouse. But this is where this thing is really suffering. Its ammo count, it can carry only 15 shells, and that is pretty bad. 15 shells, you can pump them out in the first 5 minutes and be left with nothing. So you always have to make sure your shots will hit and do damage, because this is not like one of those tanks that you can just fire shot after shot after shot and still be left with some ammo. 15 shells is pretty much nothing, and considering that you only have around 12 seconds of reload, you can waste them quite easily. The view range 370 is one of the better ones at tier 7, because it is an open top vehicle, and the camo values aren't bad but aren't really worse either, so there's that. For such a big gun, 128mm, even though it's all red here, they're not that bad. 0.36 accuracy, 2.5 second aim time, pretty okay for a gun of this caliber and at this tier. The dispersion are pretty horrible, and that is why you always have to use a gun lane drive, but we will get to that. The elevation is pretty horrible at 10 degrees, so be wary that if somebody is up on a hill, you will almost certainly have problem hitting him. But the gun depression is one of the best I've played with, honestly. At minus 15, it is certainly the best at tier 7, and maybe up to tier 10 is the best, but you will have a hard time abusing that, because if you look at this here, this is the gun depression now, and if you use it, you will still expose these parts here. So if you are in a close quarters combat, be wary that the enemy can take advantage of this part of your hull here, which is as I previously stated, pretty weak. The horsepower to ton is pretty weak, only 8.5, and 25 kilometers an hour top speed means that this tank is very clunky. You almost certainly will get outrun by your teammates. You will almost certainly get out traversed by any light tank or medium tank, because the engine power is pretty horrible for a tank. And 8.45, that is worse even than the mouse and the even 100. So you do the math how mobile this thing actually is. The health pool 850, it's pretty standard for a tier 8 TD, sorry, tier 7 TD. And that is really all to say about the stats. The health pool is really your armor that will get you out sometimes if you do need to take a shot. For equipment, a gun rammer as a must on any tank that can really mount it for obvious reasons. A gun lane drive, since I said that the gun arc is pretty horrible, as you can see, and combined with the bad dispersion, you need that. And binos for the extra view range. For equipment, fire extinguisher, I've used a manual one. I don't want to waste my automatic ones on this tank, and pretty standard as well. You have to use fire extinguisher since you do get set on fire from the front. For the crew skills, camo on all the commanders. After you've reached 100%, drop the camo for 6 cents on this thing. All of the other things apply here. Really, recon, situational awareness, all of those are pretty useful for this thing, but I doubt that you will get after the second skill, really. So for the radio operator, camo and situational awareness. For the gunner, either for the driver, sorry, either off-road driving or clutch braking, pretty good, both of them. You might want to drop the camo for deadeye, safe storage, pretty okay. I mean, all of those are the pretty standard skills and perks used on any thing. I think that was enough for a spreadsheet reading. Let's get into some replays. And off we go with a gameplay. It's a standard battle on Live Oaks, and it's a tier 9 matchup, a pretty bad matchup for us, but then again, this tank, you will probably want to ace it in a matchup like this rather than in a tier 7 game, because the gun can perform equally good wherever it's put. The only thing that matters is the positioning and uh, the playstyle that your teammates will provide. Now you can really see the bad mobility of the tank. I mean, even though it has a 25 kph top speed, it kind of struggles to reach it, and almost all the heroes that have some armor can can outpace it quite easily, to be honest. Now I am using these rails here at this moment, but now the AMX-3090 spots me, and I'm not really worried since nobody is in the position to do anything to me this early, and this T37 doesn't really stand a chance for this gun. I used auto aim there, and you can see that the gun can deliver, and this tank is a true sniper, so to say. Now I am moving up because I know that they really don't have such huge tanks here. I mean, the AMX-3090 will get taken out now by the Tiger, I think, and the only thing that they will have are the tier 9 TDs. I completely missed that shot because of the poor gunner. Just before I shot, the tank had to move, and the dispersion was ruined, and that was that. Now I do try to put a shot into the other T37. I highly doubt that that one hit, and I move myself up into those bushes up ahead in order to use the excellent gun depression of this tank, which in my opinion is probably the only advantage this thing has, even though that cannot be truly abused because also of those sides around the gun which do get exposed first, and the enemy can take advantage of those quite easily. Now I will let my binos activate, and we do spot my opposite, another st.emil, and I put a shot into him, easy penetration, 497 damage, and just still camping. This tank cannot really move up at all at this point. I do have shots on this Yak Tiger and a fire, and I think it hit his upper plate, and at that angle it's almost certainly did not penetrate. I do see that this waffle is still in the open, and since I don't have any other shots, I will take this one, and I'm 90% sure that one hit. Already I have only 9 shells left, so you really have to be wary of your ammo count and always try to make the most of it. The ISU goes into cover just as I try to shoot him, and I decided it was not worthwhile since this tank has an awful ammunition loadout and you cannot do anything about it. The waffle gets spotted once more, and I do put another great shot in there, this time tracking him in place, and this is now my bad. I should have re-aimed this shot a lot better, but I didn't, and the waffle just got out of my gun arc at the very last second, and I couldn't pull the shot off, and it didn't hit. My bad, but I think that it will work out for the best. If you look at the team score, you can see that the situation looks pretty sour now. It's 10-11, but all of their artilleries are left, and they're gonna be pretty hard to root out. At this point, there is still time, so I will camp and spot for my artillery. And shout out to that guy, even though it's arty and I hate the game mechanics, he did a fantastic job with it. Now what you're gonna see me do here is just shoot, fall back, get unspotted and shoot once more, and the artillery is shooting for a 800 damage now. That Yak Tiger, which improves our chances of winning by quite a bit. I do see that the ISU makes a run for it, and I only managed to track him. If he doesn't shoot a chi at me, I should have pretty reasonable chances to be able to take one hit and still not die. But if he rolls high, I might as well. The position I'm using now, as you can see, those trains do provide excellent cover from the artillery. So if he comes up, he will be the one getting shot by arty, not me. I decide to spot for the arty, and at the very bad moment he does his sniffer. I do take it out at 17 HP, that was quite lucky, and I do put another shot into him. The M43 takes him out as well, and considering all of that were my spots, I'd say that I've done pretty great job for the team at this point, dealing damage and spotting in a thing that really should not be a spotting for its team. It is certainly not designed to do so. I am worried at this point about the st.emil. I mean, since I shot him at the beginning of the game, he wasn't spotted, but I decided that the risk might be worth taking, because the T-32 is on pretty high HP and he might, even if I die, pull this off. The artillery takes out the Waffle Panzer IV, which is great news, and I do spot the artillery. Now and I watch this 490 alpha, not enough to kill an art. RNG for you. The S3 takes him out as well, since I left him on just 1 HP, and I will try to make myself up to destroy Emil. They both trade. Destroy Emil is only on 7 HP now, and I will try to take him out now. Now, this is something that I will miscalculate during this game. I do spot him now, and wanna know what unlucky is? Just watch this shot here. He is there and the shot whizzes over him. Now, I thought that the drop might not be that big, and because I did a little bit, which is probably a noob move by me, but it doesn't really matter, since the Emil was gonna shoot me and I was gonna die either way. Since it worked out and we won, let's look into the post-battle results. And here we are in the post-battle results of that game. As you can see, I managed to pick up Ace Tanker and Confederate. I was pretty close to getting a high caliber as well, but I wasn't able to quite manage it. If we look into the team score, we can see that we did finish I think second on damage and first on experience, with even 0 kills, which is pretty alright, so to say, for a tier 9 game in a tier 7 tank. If we look into the detailed report, we can see that we did fire 14 shots, 9 hit and 7 penetrations. Usually this gun is far more accurate, but as I've stated in the gameplay, some of the shots that did not hit were my fault, like the one on the Waffle Panzer IV when I didn't fully aim it and so on. We did 3.4k damage, and out of those 1.5k was done from a sniping distance. We did receive 1 hit and 1 penetration as I previously stated, no chance of bouncing anything with this tank, and we were pretty much down, left on 17 HP by the time we put out even the fire. So one shot, all of our HP was gone. We did spot one vehicle and damaged 6 with 1.3k damage being from our assistance. Those shots from the artillery on the ISU and the Yak Tiger. Anyway guys, that was my take on the st.emil. It's a pretty bad, let's say, tier 7 TD because it is a one trick pony, and even that isn't done in quite the way that I would prefer because of its bad mobility. Hope you enjoyed this video, and bye for now.